Thank you very much, and compliments of the new year to all members of the media. Thank you very much. A spokesperson of the ANC, Comrade Mahlengi Bengu. The African National Congress successfully convened its first Ordinary National Executive Committee meeting from January 18th to 19th, 2025 at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center. This meeting followed the ANC's successful 113th anniversary celebrations and the delivery of the January 8th statement by the President of the ANC, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, in Cape Town. These celebrations reaffirmed the ANC's centrality in the lives of the South African people and set a decisive tone for 2025, emphasizing critical priorities to strengthen the organization. The NEC meeting was conducted in an atmosphere of unity and mutual respect and underscored the ANC's commitment to remaining a cohesive and effective instrument for advancing the interests of the people of South Africa. On Ithala Bank, the ANC expresses deep concern over challenges facing Ithala Bank, a critical institution enabling access to banking services for rural communities, stokvels, churches, and small businesses in KwaZulu-Natal. The recent application by the South African Reserve Bank's Prudential Authority to liquidate Ithala due to insolvency threatens over 400 jobs and disrupts financial services for marginalized communities. The ANC reaffirms its commitment to financial inclusion and economic justice as articulated in the 2024 election manifesto. The NEC tasked the Economic Transformation Subcommittee with devising the strategies to safeguard Ithala Bank, protect workers, and ensure service continuity. The ANC further acknowledged the need for a transformative regulatory regime that accounts for historic economic marginalization, calling for accelerated implementation of policies outlined in the 2017 and 2022 national policy conferences to diversify the banking sector and empower public financial institutions. The ANC further calls on government to help expedite the resolution of the VBS matter so that the institution is revitalized and continue to benefit our people. On Back to School campaign, the ANC commended the smooth reopening of schools across the country, aligning with the recently enacted Bella Act, which reflects our focus on advancing access to quality education, as emphasized in the 2024 manifesto. The ANC calls on parents and communities to prioritize education and acknowledge the proactive role of the public representatives in overseeing school readiness. Comprehensive reports from these oversight activities will guide further interventions. On ensuring the right to learn campaign, the ANC welcomes the continued improvement in the matric pass rate, and we congratulate the class of 2024, achieving 87.3% pass rate, the highest in the country's history. We commend the resilience of our learners, educators, SGBs, parents and stakeholders including the role of successive ANC-led administrations. In light of South Africa's historic matric pass rate in 2024, the ANC emphasizes its policy commitment to leaving no student behind. The ANC calls on bodies such as NSFAS to expedite funding processes to ensure deserving students gain access to tertiary education. We reiterate our call to the private sector to contribute meaningfully to skills development and education, emphasizing the manifesto's pledge to partner with various stakeholders in building a capable, skilled workforce. On Israel-Hamas ceasefire, the ANC welcomed the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas as a crucial step toward peace in the region, reiterating its long-standing solidarity with Palestine, while acknowledging the significance of this temporary pause. The NEC reaffirmed its support for South Africa's case before the International Court of Justice, seeking accountability for alleged genocide and atrocities during the conflict. This reflects the ANC's consistent stance, grounded in its historic commitment to human rights and international solidarity. The NEC resolution on Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. The NEC welcomed the report of the National Working Committee presented to the NEC by the Secretary General, dealing with the challenges the ANC is facing in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, particularly in relation to the electoral loss suffered in the two provinces. The report was thorough and analytical. Following the report, the NEC had an extensive discussion, which was rich and reflective, focusing on the task of renewal and rebuilding of the ANC in those two provinces, as well as strengthening leadership. It was agreed that unity of the ANC should be our overriding objective. And to achieve this, we must ensure that the leaders of the ANC at all levels work together, renewing and building organization together. The NEC agreed that the state of organization in all our provinces requires urgent action following the loss of elections. However, the loss the ANC suffered in the two key provinces required immediate action, as the two provinces were not only the most populous, but economic hubs of the country. There were extensive debates on the action that needs to be taken to strengthen the ANC in the two provinces. The NEC agreed that not taking an action was not an option. There were extensive discussions on the issue of the dissolution of the PECs or how best they can be strengthened. The NEC agreed that the overriding objective is how the ANC can be strengthened and rebuilt in the two provinces. And strengthening the ANC, the NEC agreed that whatever action that will be taken should be based on key principles: fostering the unity of the organization, focusing on rebuilding the structures of the organization, ensuring that the renewal process continues, focusing on political education as well as the foundational course, ensuring that the leaders work together. NEC members assist with the rebuilding of our branches in all provinces, utilizing the capabilities of past leaders both nationally and provincially in the rebuilding process. Reconfiguring the leadership in both provinces in terms of the framework of our constitution. The national officials must bring a proposal on the reconfiguration of leadership of KZN and Gauteng to the NWC within a week period. Whatever action is taken should not interfere with the work of government in the two provinces. On the upcoming Lekgotla, the ANC will hold its national Lekgotla from January 26 to 28 at 2025, focusing on the Medium-Term Development Plan, MTDP, of the 7th administration. This forum will review the progress of the 2024 manifesto and strategize on implementing the January 8th tasks outlined by the President of South Africa and the President of the African National Congress. The resolutions from this NEC meeting reaffirm the ANC's dedication to renewal, organizational unity, and the pursuit of its transformative agenda for South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. At this point, colleagues, I will now turn to yourselves for any questions and for engagement. I've got EWN over there. Oh, that was not Tabiso. Go ahead, my brother.
Right, Munibo from the Inside Factor. Greetings to AG and to the spokesperson. The first question: the ANC, when the ANC lost the local government elections in 2016, the then Secretary General spoke about collective responsibility. And there's been many sectors of society to say that KZN and the Gauteng are particularly being targeted. Would you agree with that? Would you disagree with that? But also, if you look at Northern Cape, and I understand you've spoken about how Gauteng and KZN are the economic hubs and where the people are. But the ANC also lost elections in the Northern Cape as well. From what you got in 2019 to what you got in 2024. Will you guys be reconfiguring Northern Cape as well? And then my final question to the SG, you were speaking about the issues in Palestine, just on global affairs. Every time the ANC wants to do something which is pro-black, we see Northern Rose taking the ANC government to court for a pro-black policy. You see Western-funded NGOs, whenever the ANC takes 5 steps forward, Western NGOs come and want to the government back. So do you think that Western-funded NGOs who are now calling for us to move away from coal and anything that seeks to radically address South Africa, do you think that Western-funded NGOs are bullying the ANC-led government? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Inside Factor, I'm going to come to my right. There's no hand on my right. I'll come to my left. My sister there at the back, and then followed by Tando, and then I'll come to SABC in front. Let's go. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fox. My name is Mbalula from the Sunday Times. Many people have been struggling to fully interpret what reconfiguration means. With some saying reconfiguration, or questioning rather whether reconfiguration is sort of a euphemism for disbandment, seeing as though the term reconfiguration, we've not seen it in your constitution. Please just clarify that for us. Secondly, what is the current standing of both at this point? We woke up this morning to a poster in KZN flagging how we're going to have a January 8th celebration headlined by the current chairperson, Sibongiswa Zuma. What's the current standing of both PCs? Are they allowed to embark on their activities, or must they wait for the reconfiguration process to be concluded? And yeah, just an indication of the timeline, but I think you've addressed that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sisanda. Tando?
My name is question is with regards to what the SG said of how the reconfiguration should not affect the work of the government. How does the ANC envision this to not affect the work of the government, considering that in the PCs, most of the leadership in the PCs have dual roles in government and within the party, and also in KZN they hold positions within the legislature?
Thank you. Then proceed. I'll have SABC. Samken?
Samken partially covered by our colleague Sisanda. Mr. Mbalula, the reconfiguration, the ANC Constitution rule in clause 12, subsection how are you going to reconfigure the leadership of these two provinces? Are you first going to dissolve, then reconfigure? Because in my full understanding, you can't remove someone who's elected without a dissolution having taken place in the first instance. Then secondly, you as a leadership of the ANC seem to be heavily divided on this issue, with three of your officials, Gwede Mantashe, Paul Mashakile, Mbalula, arguing against a dissolution of these particular provinces, and yourself arguing for the dissolution alongside other officials of the party. Is this essentially the beginning of the 2027 realignment battles for your conference for 2027? Then lastly, on the dissolution, is this a dissolution or a reconfiguration? Because as my colleagues have said, there is no reconfiguration in your constitution. Is this in simple terms a dissolution of these particular structures? Thank you.
Thank you very much. SG, are you comfortable that we proceed, or we can just have this as the first round? Because I've got a number of other hands. I think we'll have that as the first round.
I don't have time. Take all the hands. Now you can proceed.
Okay. We will do as advised. Can I pass SABC?
Can I answer first?
Oh, you want to answer first?
Yeah, there are many the follow-ups.
All right, thank you.
No, the follow-ups are many. So let me answer first, and then you can take the second round. Thank you very much for the questions. Modiba, Gauteng and KZN, are they targeted? They are definitely not. If you look at Gauteng and KZN, they are the most populous. But over and above that, we have dropped everywhere in the country. But we have lost Gauteng and KZN. So we had to take a deep dive to say, how do we arrest the possibility of a total demise? You can argue that in KZN, use the terminology decimation. We're totally decimated in KwaZulu-Natal to 17%. So you don't fold arms and look at that situation and not do anything about it. So they are not targeted. The question is what needs to be done. And what needs to be done is what we're discussing this past weekend. Difficult as it is, something has to be done to ensure that the ANC respond to that situation in KZN and Gauteng. And you can't club them together in terms of the weaknesses and challenges. As much as you concentrated at the leadership level, but they are not the same. So we need to understand that quite clearly. We are still going to visit other provinces as the working committee. Your question is whether we are going to reconfigure those leaderships. It cannot arise, that particular question, in the other provinces because we have lost, but we are still in charge. Let me give you Mpumalanga. People say that when they threaten each other about whether to dissolve or not, they say no. Mpumalanga, don't participate in this discussion because they are coming for you. Now, the ANC cannot intervene with the same model in Mpumalanga where you are in power. You've got the provincial leadership, you've got government. You are running government in Mpumalanga. All what you've got to do is to fight back and deal with the challenges organizationally that are subjective there, and basically consolidate the organization to fight back and win back in Mpumalanga. That possibility is there. So not everything fits the same in the bigger scheme of things. So even in Gauteng and KZN, it's not just doing things for the sake of it, We are responding to what we are seeing on the ground. And exactly what we need to do is to consolidate, rearrange ourselves in those provinces in order to be in a position to fight back and fight for the ANC to win in the two provinces. We are not bullied by Western NGOs. We know their agenda, and we know their agenda and what they basically stand for, and that is why we remain a principled organization around fundamental issues, domestic and international, in terms of us being guided by our own policies. Sunday Times, reconfiguration, what it means is a reconfiguration. It's exactly that. You reconfigure leadership, and then that's what you need to do. The statement I've read here explains exactly reconfiguration of the leadership in both provinces in terms of the framework of our constitution. Now, Samkel and others, you can't reconfigure anyone without being guided by the constitution. So that's what it means. So you are guided by the constitution in reconfiguring the thing. I know the buzzword is dissolution, you like, is reinforcement, others like, but overall, it's a combination of the two. And then choosing the path of uniting our organization in terms of intervention. The discussion in the National Executive Committee was robust. It started with the officials. You are right, we did not all have the same view on the matter. In terms of the officials, we did not have the same view on the matter as the NWC. We went to the NEC. And the NEC is the supreme body. We did not have a dominant view over the other in the NEC. At the end, we came up with what I've explained to you. So anyone who's going to tell you that there was no point of difference will be telling you a lie, including myself. We did differ. We went to the NEC. The NEC debated and agreed. At the level of the NEC, as the officials, we did not speak. I presented the report on behalf of the NWC that analyzed the situation in the provinces. It was undisputable, irrefutable, except one or two people in the NEC. The report I presented to the NEC about the state of organization and how we interpret the situation in the two provinces was unanimously agreed. We presented two options. At the end, we came up with this particular outcome of reconfiguration, guided by the set principles. Within a week, meaning from today up until Sunday, we will meet the officials, give details of reconfiguration, and then thereafter we'll go to the NWC, which will be on Monday, this coming Monday. And thereafter, we will deploy NEC members to all the regions in the two provinces to explain and to present a decision on reconfiguration, how the provinces are reconfigured. Now, I wish to say to everybody, including ANC members, they must wait for reconfiguration to be finalized as agreed by the NEC, and then we'll present to the structures of the organization next week. During the week, from Tuesday upwards, we will be on the ground. We'll start first with the PECs and all of that. I will write to them today to inform them also about this decision. As to whether rallies must stop and all of that, We have not applied our mind to that. But a decision now has been taken. So it could be advisable that rallies must wait a bit up until reconfiguration is finalized. But that decision is not yet taken. So it will be advisable that in this week that everything must come to a standstill up until everything else is done. The reason why we chose a week is because we don't want to delay the functioning and the running of the organization in the two provinces. So the matter is closed. It's closed. It's done. In terms of our discussions of the NEC, the NWC is not going to reopen a discussion, it's going to process the implementation and the officials of this decision of the NEC. And then immediately after that, we'll descend to the structures and brief them. And today, as it is Monday, I will brief the structures across the two provinces through a communique about what is the decision and what is their status, and that will come back to them and brief them in terms of this decision. Configuration in relation to government, we are very clear that government will not be tampered with. It will remain the way it is. That is the directive of the National Executive Committee. So we will not tamper with government. We are going to tamper with the ANC leadership. That's what reconfiguration means. Within the framework of the ANC constitution. We have decided not to suspend the constitution, but to use it to build the organization. That's what it's all about. Samkele, this has not been an easy decision, and whoever briefed you, it is not division, it was a difference of opinion. As to who was against who is not correct. It was just a difference of opinion. Yes, we did caution that this discussion, among others, was gravitating to interests and polarized, among others, by the mobilization along the lines of 2027. And the National Executive Committee have said, no, that must stop. And that the mobilization on this particular matter, which is about strengthening and building organization, it was polarized by the fact that others were mobilizing along the lines of what must happen in 2027 in the organization. You will know that we have a position of the organization that 2027 will be discussed at the right time. There will be a perspective that will be developed, and that any other thing at the present moment people can discuss informally and so on. It's not an organizational process. It's mischief. It's a divisive tendency in the organization. And we have been mandated by the NEC that we must act on that. We are acting on many things in terms of the discipline in the organization. As I've briefed you last week in Cape Town, we have already acted on a number of disciplinary cases. You will be briefed as and when they are processed. But we're acting. Everybody who is against the ANC Rule 25 violation will be enforced. And that's what is happening as I'm speaking to you right now. Other people have got their own charges in terms of disciplinary processes. And there will be no retreat on that. Discipline is going to be implemented. It's part and parcel of renewal. You violate the rules of the ANC, its discipline, we will act upon you. And that's what we've been mandated by the National Executive Committee to do. And we expect our provinces and all other structures to equally act on the acts of ill discipline. Even this NEC, as we're debating these matters, the emphasis was that ANC must not postpone ill discipline wherever it manifests itself in the organization. That must be acted upon. So Samkele, it's not division. We did not have the same opinion. For instance, you say that I did not have an opinion that says dissolve people. That opinion was generated out of a process. And I came to you, I briefed you, we briefed the structures. But later on, it was trivialized that it's a Mbalula issue. Now, I understand perfectly why they say so, because I'm Secretary General of the ANC. I'm Secretary General of the ANC, and many things that are not nice will be associated with me. I lose friends along the way. People who were my good friends don't like me anymore because I've done things that they don't like. But it comes with the responsibility. And it comes with the responsibility of which I work within a collective. I'm mandated. Remember, every decision, the president has got the responsibility to appoint cabinet. But the people who are not appointed in cabinet or who have been dropped, it's not the president who tells them that don't come back, it's me. We did not appoint you. And then they say to me, yeah, no, we've been expecting it in my heart, you know. So it's not a nice job to do, to tell people that you are no longer minister. The ANC want to thank you for having availed yourself and all of that. And then I convey. Gwede Mantashe, Thabo Mbeki, NEC takes a decision that is no longer president. Now the person who must go and face Thabo Mbeki, former president, and tell him that you are no longer president is the SG. Face to face, and tell him that, hey, we have taken a decision. Jacob Zuma is no longer president. I don't know, Mahashule, whether I told him or what happened. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. But I'm telling you that it is the SG who must now go and communicate that particular decision. So when people, there is something they don't like, they say it's the SG. So, because we are the people who prepare reports and the bearer of good and bad news. And most of the time, it's not so good news. I've told you that the issue of 2027 polarized this discussion. And we have reflected on that. It is not a lie, it is true. People were meeting, mobilizing in Cape Town, in dinner parties, and everywhere else, because these ones, they say, if you support this position, you must know that you are in the camp of so and so. If you support this position, you are in the camp of so and so, which is leaders like myself and Paul Mashatile. Now, I've never declared any interest in the presidency of the ANC. I'm still SG, and people already, they say I must jump. I know about that. It's the truth. I know about that. People have come to me, but I'm not power drunk to think in this position I can use it to advance my interest. I cannot do that. I stick with the principle that we don't discuss succession, we'll talk about it at the right time. And at the right time, I'll talk about what I think. Nobody has ever coerced me. I've worked with my generation. I know what I want or what I don't want. I'm not power drunk. When people talk about me, I jump into it. What I will not do is to undermine the cohesion of the ANC. I've said that to comrades individually and so on, that the ANC have said at the right time these matters will be ventilated and we'll discuss them properly. Because this thing of electing leaders hoodwinked popularity, not looking at the qualities of the leader, we must not deny the ANC membership from applying its mind on the matter appropriately at the right time and hamstrung it by populism and all of that. Comrades must wait. Even anyone must wait up until the organization opens this matter and is to be discussed. And it was unfortunate that a very important discussion like this one and the fate of these provinces was hijacked by factionalists for factional reasons about the future of the party in terms of what will happen after Ramaphosa. It is really unfortunate. And Samkele, it did happen. And the NEC itself expressed itself on this matter and say it must stop. Now, you don't need leakage, anybody to leak to you. We are now speaking here as the ANC and telling you that this discussion was polarized by such interest. And we have reflected on it and we frown upon it. Reconfiguration is reconfiguration. We say reconfiguration with the Constitution. You can't implement some kind of reconfiguration without the ANC Constitution. So whatever interpretation you give into that, you can give it. But this is what has been agreed upon in the National Executive Committee unanimously at the end, yesterday, as we rise last night from the meeting. We discussed this matter for 2 days. Now we'll get into the next meeting where we will discuss the annual report and all other things. So it was a very, 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 very involved discussion, but very frank and open. I think people who did not speak there, probably is you, Mahleng. I'm joking. People who did not speak there, there are about 2 who were at the meeting. Even our former president did give us counsel, President Mbeki. So it's a very important issue, the question of KZN and Gauteng to us as the ANC. Because these are very important provinces of the movement that we must safeguard, we must defend, and then we must fight to win them back. And then so it has been a very involved discussion, and everybody was given an opportunity to reflect on this discussion. And everybody spoke in that particular meeting. So I'm just saying that those views that were different views, but with the aim of sharing a perspective. Of course, there is a point where you realized that they are hardened views because it's like a do or die. But there are ANC members who rose to the occasion to show that they are not part of a faction. They are not guided by a grouping. They stand on their own independent idea and in terms of what they believe, what must happen. And those members must be commended because they are not a member's member. And they helped us come to this particular point in that discussion. But in an organization like ours, with bigger challenges that we're facing, those tendencies we want to extricate from the organization, like factionalism and so on, they are hard to die, but they will die over time because renewal is going to help us overcome those tendencies. That you must understand that you can go to a meeting without seeking an opinion of somebody. And seeking an opinion of somebody sometimes, informal discussion, is also acceptable. But it cannot be that in a meeting you don't listen to the analysis. You are just sticking to something, irrespective of the fact that the analysis is correct. But because you are a factionalist, you are made to be a factional person, you can't see beyond your view. Otherwise, in a normal organization, in a meeting, you have to be persuaded in terms of ideas. You can leave your house, but once a report or a political analysis is presented before you, putting on the tools of analysis, you decide that, let me support this idea, I'm persuaded. And you argue your particular point. I'm persuaded. You don't stick to the beliefs of a group that kills organization. And that is what makes us, even in the election, to elect people that we don't want, because we stick to factional ideas. So factionalism as a tendency is detrimental to the survival of the organization. It's detrimental to the independent mind. It's detrimental to an organization that must survive for decades to come. Thank you very much.